This video is brought to you by Patreon show sponsor, your friend and mine, The Third Era, and his wife, Leslie Arambula. She's an author, a teacher, and an editor. If you need any of your work edited, please check out our website, lesliearambula.com. I will leave a link in the description below.
Yeah, I just want to be the greatest.
It's your boy HifiVega back again, and this time we are here to check out the Vivaldi Dream 4 amplifier. This was sent to me from John Wanamaker. He is the North American distributor for this amp. I will leave some links in the description below if you want to purchase this amp or any of the Vivaldi product line. That being said, this amp does have the looks. Does it have the sound? And does it have the power? That's what we're here to find out today. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I'm going to put this dude on the bench. We're going to kind of run through what it does. We're going to look at it on the inside. I think we should just get straight into it. I don't always mention this, but I do set up every amp I test with the DD1, and on this particular amp, we have to do both sides, so that's what I'm doing here. And sometimes you might wonder, why am I going all the way to distortion and leaving it there? Well, that's because I test all my amps uncertified up to clipping. We're going to start with the 4 ohm stereo test. We're using a 1 kilohertz track. It's rated 110 watts by 4, and all channels are driven at 4 ohms. All right, we got 96 watts. We pulled 55.6 amps at 14.36 volts, making this 48% efficient. I often rerun amps at the same impedance just to confirm my results, and that's exactly what this is here. I figured, hey, why not? I'll show you guys. Let's see if this amp can back itself up. On to the 2 ohm stereo test. We are using the 1 kilohertz track again. It is rated 180 watts by 4. All channels are driven and loaded down to 2 ohms stereo. All right, we got 131 watts at 14.2 volts. We drew 86 amps, making it 42% efficient. I want to show you guys a rerun at 2 ohms stereo because I did mess up, and this is why I test these things. So what had happened was I did not have this fully loaded down to 2 ohms. Only the channel I was testing, everything else was at 4 ohms. That's how we got 165 watts and only pulled 49 amps. Now the amperage thing, that's what got me looking. I was like, hey, something's not right. I need to check on my connections, retest. And I did retest, and you've seen that result. So it's always good to double check yourself. And that's a good lesson for all of us, because if you do not load down your power supply fully, you're not actually testing the amp at full capacity, and you can really skew your results if you want to by not doing this. We are on to the 4 ohm mono test. We are using a 40 hertz track. It is rated 330 watts by 2. Most commonly, if you're bridging an amp, you're using a sub or you're wanting to use a sub. That's why I switched to 40 hertz. We have 294 watts at 14.17 volts. We drew 100 amps even. That makes it 41% efficient. All right, we're on to the 2 ohm mono test. I am using a 40 hertz track, and it is rated 500 by 2. All right, we have 299 watts, 13.96 volts, and it drew 144.8 amps, making it 29% efficient. All right, I want to back this up. I want to show you the rerun I did just to verify the results, because we did not meet the 500 watts, not even close. And I kind of want to explain what I think's happening here. On a positive note, this amp did survive a pure 40 Hz sine wave at 2 ohms mono on a pure resistive load. That is quite a feat. It's a brutal test on an amp. What's going on here is this does have a regulated power supply, so it's going to give you the power at 2 ohms, but it's going to just keep drawing amperage like crazy to make that power. That's why we ended up with the abysmal 29% efficiency. Let's check out the guts on this thing so you can kind of see what you're paying for here. And the first thing that's going to probably pop out to you is the Nishikon caps throughout. Got the nice gold Nishikons everywhere. Super cool. You also have the big Seiken transistors. Really nice high quality transistors. This has got a lot of SQ parts in it, and once we get up to the sound demos, although it doesn't translate great over YouTube, maybe that's where this thing actually shows its stripes. All right, I'm back with my final thoughts, and before we even go any further, let's talk about the power. It did not meet its ratings, and I know that's the first thing you guys are thinking in your head. It didn't make the ratings, and the 2 ohm mono rating was way off. I explained about the efficiency, about the regulated power supply. If this amp was rated 90 watts by 4 at 4 ohms, 125 watts by 4 at 2 ohms, and 250 watts at 4 ohms mono, it would be a totally different story, and you guys would be like, oh, you know, it did its power ratings. But I know there's going to be a few of you that just look at this amp and say, hey, it didn't make its power ratings, absolute junk, I'm not listening to anything else. But I'm here to tell you that it is not junk. Obviously, it should be rated properly and it should do its ratings. We all understand that, but that's not all there is to an amp. So let's talk about what this amp does do well. The sound quality on this amp is in my top 5 of all amps I have tested on the Sony speakers. You guys see me use these Sony speakers and you think, why would he use a cheap set of bookshelves from the late 90s? The reason is because I bought these bookshelves new in the late 90s. I think they actually sound pretty good. You might be surprised. I've owned these since the late 90s. I've heard these for over 20 years. I've heard them on many car amps, and I can easily distinguish nuances in sound from amp to amp because I know these speakers so intimately. That's why I use these speakers every time I test the amp, because I know these speakers and I'll never get rid of them because I know these so well. I will be using different speakers in the future here and there, so you guys can kind of hear the difference for yourself. As far as the sound quality goes on this amp, like I said, it's in the top 5. I want to list off for you the amps that I like the most that I have played on these speakers. I would say the Lunar L255 was one of them. That amp would probably be number 5. That's a very tube-like sounding amp. It's got some distortion, but it's the good kind. It's the tube kind, the kind you like, the kind I like anyways. Next, I would say probably the first generation Sony XES amp. I've tested a few of them on there. That would probably be my 4th place pick. I would say the Vivaldi is probably at the number 3 spot. It's a very good sounding amp. It does not have the warmth of the Lunar, but it has the accuracy of sound and the clarity that I really do like. The other amps that I would say sound maybe a little bit better than this amp on these speakers would be the Mosconi AS 100.4, and that's an amp I had for a long time and I really love that amp, and it's maybe got a slight edge over the Dream 4. The other one would probably be the best sounding amp I've ever had on these speakers, and that is the Adcom GFA. I believe it was the 4402 model. Fantastic sounding amp, and that honestly was the best amp I've ever heard on these speakers. So that's it. That's the review of the Vivaldi Dream 4 amplifier. Fantastic sounding amp. Got all the nice stuff you want, the Sanken transistors, the Nishikon gold caps. Very cool amp, and it looks beautiful. Missed the power rating, sure. So if that's a deal breaker for you, then, you know, maybe you look somewhere else. But if you're in this for sound quality, I'm certain that you will be happy with this amp because it sounds very, very good. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you did enjoy this video. Let me know what you think about this amp in the comments. Do you like it? Do you like the looks of it? What don't you like? You know, just let me know what you think about it. And I'll catch you on the next video. It's your boy Hi-Fi back from the future. I did realize as I was editing this video that I did not mention the low efficiency on the 4 ohm and 2 ohm stereo test. If you look in that bottom right corner, you will see 1.9 amps idle current draw. This is a Class AB amp with a Class A bias, making it a little less efficient to get that sound that we love, that I love, that most people love, I would say, but that's why the efficiency was a little bit lower than the amp that Derek just tested. I appreciate all my Patreon supporters, but I want to give a special shout out to the $6 or more members: 2001 Monolithic, The Third Era, G Nava, Joaquin Juarez, Paul Smith, Byron Chambliss, El Fuego, Travis McClendon, Brandon Hanna, William Berg, Boxboy Audio Sound Solutions, Jesus Tires, and Orion the Great. If you want to help your boy out and score a little bit of extra content, Patreon exclusive, you can check me out at patreon.com/HifiVega. I truly appreciate y'all.